Cool. So, well, how long have you been a flat earther?
It's like 6 years. I kind of stopped counting somewhere around there.
Okay. And how did you first hear about it?
People started sending me stuff saying, hey, you got to look into flat Earth. I was investigating other deceptions in the world, and I didn't want to look at first. And then I looked, and once you look, you can't, we're trained not to look. We're trained to laugh at it. And we're also programmed to believe that it's something that it's not, which stops us from ever being willing to look. But anybody with the courage and fortitude to take a look and the ability to change their mind based on new information sees. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Hmm. So, what kind of arguments did the trick for you first? Like, what had the most impact on you?
It's endless. I mean, we could see too far. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. Um, the mainstream science says that the water at the equator, due to the spin of the Earth, bulges at 14 miles high. And the question you have to ask is, why isn't the center of Africa underwater?
Hmm.
You can't have high pressure like our atmosphere next to a vacuum. You can't have high pressure next to low pressure. It breaks every law of thermodynamics. You can't the angular resolution limits of our eyes tell us what size we can see things at, and we can do actual math to calculate the size that stars should be, and we shouldn't be able to see stars that are a light hour away, let alone 5, 10, 20, 50 light years away. I mean, when you start looking at any of it, it's all pseudoscience. So the thing is, the way you become a flat earther is you try to come up with one proof of the globe, just one. And when you realize that you can't, you realize there's a problem.
All right. So, the scientific arguments.
Science is really, flat earthers love science. Heliocentrists just use the word science and the word physics, but they don't apply any of it. They use math. So I can give you a math equation that doesn't describe reality. It just describes math. For example, Aristophanes said, hey, on this certain day, the sun was directly over me, so there was no shadow. And then my buddy 500 miles away, there was a shadow. And then you could assume the earth is a ball and measure those angles and do very good math to figure out the size of that circle. This is how we figured out the earth was round. But on a flat earth, the sun is close and small. There's no shadow here. There's shadow here. And we can do the same math, assume this flat line is a circle, and then say the earth is a ball. That math is not reality. Math describes anything you want it to describe.
Right. Interesting. Um, so there's no belief involved in
Good
in
question.
you.
Good question. Flat belief is the enemy of knowing. Um,
Mhm.
what time is it where I am right now?
Uh, you said nine, right?
Yeah. So is it 9 o'clock where I am right now? Do you believe that?
I guess I do.
Yeah, you believe it. Did you verify it?
I didn't.
Would you bet your life on it? Gun to your head. Is it 9 o'clock where I am? Yes or no?
I'd say no. Get into my head.
Well, you're dead because it is 9 o'clock. Here's the problem. You're believing, right? I wasn't lying. You're believing. And you have to live in this world. You got to believe some things. Otherwise, it's just going to be a horrible world to live in. But the thing is, knowing takes time. You'd have to, okay, where's this Weiss live? All right, well, he is in Connecticut. All right, it is 9 a.m. It would probably take you 20 minutes to figure that one out. But other things take days, weeks, hours and hours and hours of research to figure out. But, we're told that the earth is a ball and we just believe it. There's no proof. There's none. There's actually proof that it's not a ball. So when you say, do we believe, there's certain things that we don't know, like what causes the lunar eclipse? Well, we don't know. We have some beliefs, but what we do know is it's not the earth. We can prove that scientifically. So we know it's not the earth. We don't know everything. There's lots that we don't know, but flat earthers know that they don't know. Globers think they know everything and they know nothing.
All right. And how do you feel about scientists?
Well, when you say scientists, I mean anyone that practices the scientific method, they're great. But people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's basically nothing more than a high priest of scientism, and Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie, they're both failed actors, failed comedians, and they apply no science. They will not talk to flat earthers because they say the science is settled. Well, that goes against science. Science is never settled. You have to base new information to see if your hypothesis holds up. Well, the idea that the Earth is a globe is the most ridiculous thing ever. For example, I'm assuming you're a glober. I was a glober too, so don't be embarrassed to admit it, right? I'm assuming you're a globe believer, right?
Well, that's more complex than that. I'm actually pretty neutral on the subject. I've been researching flat Earth for 6 months now, so
All right,
I
so
think
you're
it's
starting to see. You're starting to see, but so someone who's a global believer that's talking to flat earther, you ask them these 4 questions. How fast is the Earth spinning? Do you know?
Is that a question?
Yeah, it's a question. How fast is the Earth spinning?
Is it 1,000 miles an hour?
See,
Something like
you
that?
have been researching, but most people that haven't been looking into flat Earth don't even know that. But that's at the equator. At the equator, it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour, but at Alaska, it's spinning like 300 miles an hour. Just wrap your mind around that. Try to take an airplane from Alaska to the equator and land it on a north-south runway. That's insane. And then it's orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. It's chasing the sun at over 500,000 miles per hour. And that entire system's moving sideways at like 1.2 million miles an hour, give or take. Doesn't really matter at this point, right? All of these motions are happening. We're traveling billions of miles every year, and somehow the stars always remain in the same place, resetting year after year. Like you go out tonight, look at the stars. They will be in the exact same place that they were a year ago, same night, same time, right? But if we go to places like monuments like the Georgia Guidestones, and we look through this little hole, the North Star never moves from that hole. Never. Okay? This is a time lapse. You look through this little hole in this rock, and the North Star is always there. If we're corkscrewing through space, how is that even possible for 2 minutes, let alone 40 years? Right? We're making all of these motions. All of the stars are doing their motions. How do they line up? How does the North Star not move from that hole? And the only answer science has is it's so far away that the billions and trillions of miles that we're traveling don't make a difference. That's ridiculous. So that's scientifically provably ridiculous because we could not see the North Star. I can explain it to you. Ready?
All right.
So you know what perspective is, right? Perspective. So this is the sun, and the Earth is a tiny little BB next to it, right? Right? Tiny little pebble, right? In the heliocentric model, right? If I brought the sun a mile over your head and you looked up in the sky, this is what you would see, right? And then if I move it 93 million miles away, it reduces to the size of a coin held at arm's length, right? It reduces to a coin, right?
Right.
If I made it 8 times farther, we can scientifically prove that its angular size due to perspective would be smaller than your eye can resolve, right? It went from this to this in 93 million miles, right? So now we're going to make it 8 times farther. And I say 8 times because that's a light hour, all right?
Okay.
That's a light hour. The closest star is 40,000 times farther than that light hour, right? So Polaris is 46 times bigger than our sun.
Okay.
So to make it equivalent in size to that light hour, we'd have to make it 2 light days away, 48 hours away, right? 46 times, 48 hours, same thing. So at 2 light hours away, we scientifically can prove that you cannot see Polaris, but they're telling us it's 433 light years away. Those numbers are so big, your brain can't even fathom what they mean, right? A trillion seconds is 31,000 years.
Okay.
And they're telling us things are trillions of miles away. There's 100 billion stars in our galaxy. The closest star is 40,000 times farther than our sun if it was 8 times farther than it is, right? And all of the other stars are magnitudes farther than that. This is pseudoscience. This is stuff that the mainstream calls science. It's not science. It's nonsense. They've convinced you to trade in your common sense for nonsense.
Well, that's actually odd, yeah. How more generally, let's say, how do you feel about the use of science in modern society?
Well, when you say the use of science is great. I mean, I got my iPhone. It's amazing. That's some real technology there. And we're talking here in France. I'm in there in New York, and we're talking like we're in the same room. I can see you clear as day, and I'm able to show you things on a green screen. That's science, right? Astronomy is pseudoscience. Yes, a telescope is scientific. It's like a microscope looking at things that are way closer than they're telling us, and we're pretending that they're billions of miles away. You know, you could say that they found exoplanets because this light in the sky that they say is a burning star, which is trillions and trillions and trillions of miles away, dimmed for a split second, and that means that there's another rocky ball floating through an infinite vacuum, and they can determine that it's an exoplanet. That's not science. That's pseudoscience. That's scientism. Okay. The Big Bang, our universe, is nothing exploded or everything exploded. I don't care because it doesn't even matter. And then all of the rocky bits started coalescing due to gravity, which is mass attracting mass. And it created these spinning balls that got water on them and everything. But then all of the gases, they coalesced into bigger balls with even more gravity, and they left a vacuum in between. How do you have a gas ball in a vacuum?
That's
pseudoscience. No, that's pseudoscience. That is made up fantasy bullshit, right? And they're teaching it to our kids. They're teaching it to our adults, and the ones that can memorize and regurgitate that garbage the best become the teachers and the professors and the scientists. Now, how many scientists are there? Well, we have our mainstream ones. We have Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie. We have Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism. And we have Lying Box, the guy I think he's in your part of the world. These guys are the mainstream puppets pushing the nonsense. We have Nassim Haramein, who knows the earth is not a spinning ball, but he's pushing for all of his grants and so he can do whatever work he wants to do. There's plenty of people that know the truth, but they're silenced.
They're silenced. Okay, now let's get back to that later. So how do you feel about the idea of doing your own research?
What do you mean by that? Doing my own research? Like, explain.
I mean, about the how to. I'm asking you a question about how to construct knowledge, how to build knowledge.
Oh, how do I feel about how do I do it? Is that the question?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I examine the things that I'm told, and I don't believe the nonsense. And I confer with others, and we do experiments, and we go and verify the things that they say. And like we watch the rocket launches from SpaceX, which is a joke, and we see exactly how they're faking them. We catch them in their fakery all the time. We catch them in all the different ways that they deceive us, and we look at it and say, okay, I'm not believing that because it's garbage. I mean, if you watched the Mars lander the other day, I mean, that was a South Park cartoon, and then people just believe it because they can't believe there's a lie that big. Well, if you're going to lie big or go home.
Yeah. Do you think there are divisions within the flat Earth community?
Well, you ask for, you say that there are divisions. There's things that we don't, that are anything above 73 miles or anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is off limits to any human, any civilian. So anything beyond there is speculation. Is there a dome? If there is a dome, is it solid? Is it frozen? Is it energetic? Is there no dome? We could talk about that all day, and I wouldn't call that a division. I would call that trying to figure out what the hell is going on this place. And is it an endless plane? Is it a dome on top of a dome on top of a dome? Are there other puddles out there? Is there nothing else out there? What's below the flat Earth? Nobody knows what's below 7.5 miles on the ball Earth, so we don't know either. So is there a division? I don't think there's a division. Some people argue about, what's the cause of what makes things go down? Is there a force or is it just buoyancy and density? Well, that's an interesting discussion to have, and we're having it all the time. I personally believe that the Earth has a negative charge to it, testable, measurable, scientifically provable, and it attracts things down, and then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. And I can make a damn good argument about that. So I would say that's the division. Then you have your globe trolls and your paid trolls, massive amounts of them by the government out there to put out this information and start controversy and get people just to not look into it. They're out there to capture the weak minds, people like Byman Dan and not Professor Dave and Big Think. They had, and Neil deGrasse Tyson with his Star Talk show, where they're out there just putting out propaganda after propaganda after propaganda, gaslighting us, never talking to us, never will talk to us. They'll just make videos about us again and again and again, trying to just capture weak minds. Once you see the flat Earth, you escape from all of their nonsense. Okay, but they have no arguments. They have nothing. They have nothing. If they did, they would just have us on and show us the Earth is flat. NASA would put a camera on the moon, which is the perfect tripod because it's always facing the Earth, and film the Earth spinning, and they wouldn't even have to pay for it because Nabisco, and Pepsi would pay for it, just to have their friggin' logo on that live stream. And they won't do it because they can't do it because the moon isn't a place, right? The moon isn't terra firma, and nobody can get above 73 miles. So, there you go.
Okay. How do you feel about politics?
Politics is all just a show. It's all a distraction. They're just the whole left-right paradigm here in America is nonsense. It's all controlled. It's all just the elite putting themselves in power and getting us to vote on it, getting us to put energy into it. Anybody that votes, in my opinion, now is just feeding the system. The entire thing, if the world united, and realized that the division of countries is nonsense, it's all made up, and we all united, the elite would be done in 5 seconds. They'd be finished. We're the many, they're the nothing. Okay, they're nothing, but they need us to feed into it. They can't take away our free will, and if we don't say no, we're saying yes. They always tell us what they're doing.
Right. And have you been changing the way you feel about politics since you've joined the Flat Earth movement, or has it always been like that for you?
No, I've always known that politics. I used to vote, but then I realized that voting. I say voting does nothing because they they have their agenda. I think in America this time, so many people voted for Trump that it broke their algorithm, and they had to fake it, and they got caught. But it still doesn't matter because they still pulled off their nonsense. So the whole political thing, it's left hand, right hand, same monster.
So do you think the sphericity of the Earth is the only thing we are being lied about?
No, absolutely not. We're being lied about all of our history. We're being lied about who we are, where we are, what this place is. We're being lied about, 100 years ago, the whole world knew the Earth was flat, 100 years ago. But they changed it. They stole that from us over the last, what appears to be a reoccurring reset that happens. So there was a worldwide civilization here called Tartaria, and that's not a theory. That's provable. I mean, the evidence is everywhere. And they've hidden that from us, and they've hijacked our world from us, and they put us in a prison without walls, and that prison is called the globe, right? There's not a fence around us. Our heads are in a prison. It's a globe.
Well, same question. Have you known these other lies before Flat Earth, or did you begin researching it after you?
Good question. I knew before Flat Earth, I started off with the Federal Reserve, wondering what money was and how the Federal Reserve makes money. And then I realized the Federal Reserve is just a private bank of a bunch of gangsters that are running the world, and that the real power in this world are the banking families, and that money isn't even real anymore. They just use it to control us. So that I started there, and then I got into 9/11 and all the other deceptions that are going on. And while discovering those, people started throwing flat Earth at me. And I, with my open mind, at that point, I refused to look. But then I was forced to look, and here I am.
Yeah, a lot of people told me Flat Earth was like the key to understanding all the other lies.
Yeah, once you see Flat Earth, I just went to a Flat Earth conference in South Carolina just 2 weeks ago, and it was amazing. We had hundreds and hundreds of us gathered around, no masks, no nothing, hugging, no worries. Everyone's healthy, super nice people, and everyone's awake to everything. Once you see Flat Earth, I used to wake people up. I had a thing called Exposing the Big Three: the New York event, the Connecticut school event, and the Boston Marathon event. Right? And all of those are fake. I'm not sure if you're aware, but if you're not aware, you can go to stoplookthink.com and take a look. They're scientifically provably fake. And I used to wake people up to that, but then they go right back to sleep and go back to work. But when you wake them up to Flat Earth, something clicks, something changes. Their minds open up, and they start to see. They start to see everything, because this is deception that's so big, it affects you every moment of every day. Like right now, you're sitting there on your couch, and what happened in New York on 9/11 has no effect on you. But right now, you're sitting on a couch, and you're not spinning. That affects you.
Right. Okay. I see. Do you personally have an idea of who the people behind all that are?
Well, the people that we can see are the banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the royal families, the Bilderberg Group, the United Nations, all of those people. Some people call them the Illuminati, but that term was weaponized to make people laugh. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Nope. These are the banking families. These are the the royal families that are out there. And they're all related. Mark Zuckerberg is a Rockefeller's grandson, and Bill Gates is related, and Obama. They're all in this together. So this is just one big thing. But who are their controllers? Their controllers might live elsewhere. Their controllers might not even live in this realm that we call our world. Perhaps, just speculating because we're not allowed to go there, perhaps they live in the outer space on the extra territory, right? And you would consider them, if they came to visit here from outer space, extraterrestrials. Maybe there's paradises out here. Okay, they don't want us to know about. They want us in here working slaves, making their stuff for them, and just being useless eaters. If you look at, I forget, the Prince Charles or one of those stupid royal family guys who looks like death, he said years ago that when he dies, he wants to come back as a virus to wipe out the human race. Right? Muammar Gaddafi, the Libyan leader who was killed. right? Muammar Gaddafi in the 1970s, I think it was, made this scary speech at the UN, and he was angry and he's scary looking, and they covered it in the news, and they were saying that, you know, he's a danger to the world. And as a kid, I was petrified of this man. He's going to blow up the whole world with nuclear bombs. By the way, nuclear bombs are fake. And what he was really saying in that speech, which was translated years later, was that the New World Order wants to take over the world, and by the year 2020, they're going to use a fake virus to take over the world. That's what he was saying in that speech, essentially.
Wow.
Okay, and then they took him out. I mean, the man was probably one of the greatest, was undoubtedly the greatest leader of all time. And we're taught that he was you're younger, so you might not know the whole story, but we're taught that he was just a horrible terrorist and cutting off the heads of his people. His people loved him. He was amazing. On my YouTube channel, DITRH, the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, I have a video called "The Great Man-Made River" by Muammar Gaddafi. Just look up "The Great Man-Made River," DITRH, and you'll see what he did.
Okay, I'll check this out.
Yeah.
Do you think all the powerful have a common interest for lying?
The common interest is to to keep control of the people. When the people wake up to where they really live, they unplug from their fear matrix, and they stop giving them their power. If everyone was not in fear and knew who they were, where they were, what they were, in the power of their own mind, the elite would be gone. They'd be dead. They'd probably be hanging from light poles, but they would be finished. Right. So the goal is to keep us in a prison and keep us as slaves. They're separating those uber. There's going to be two classes of people if they get their way: the uber wealthy that know it all, and us, the serfs. Okay, that's what they're trying to do right now. And people are just buying into it. People are suffering from Stockholm syndrome, and they're supporting this, and they're running along with this COVID nonsense. And they are, where the world's in a bad way. That's why I left everything to spread this message right now.
So you feel like you're fighting for something, like, can you hear me? I mean, how can you develop on why you're invested in this cause?
I'm invested in this cause because I don't want to be a slave. I don't want my kids to live in a world where they have no freedom. You're a young guy. You don't even know what freedom is. It's been taken away from you. You don't know what privacy was. The idea that somebody could record our phone call was so far out there that nobody would even believe it when I was a kid. Now, everything you say, everything you do, every motion you make, everywhere you go, every dollar you spend, every thought you think is being recorded. Okay. And it's being used against you to control you. Right? This is insanity. And as this vaccine comes along, it's going to be even worse. They're gonna have total control over you, and they're also changing the way your ability to think. You're changing your ability to feel, to connect with source. This is all about control. This is called transhumanism, and this is what they're trying to do. It was a hard thing to even fathom a decade ago, but it's here today. It's happening now, and is it too late to stop it? I don't know. Maybe not, or maybe.
So there's a fight going on.
Don't you think there's a fight going on?
I mean, when the flat Earth community, do you see it as kind of a fighting movement? I don't know how to say that. I mean, is there a political protest within the political message brought by the flat Earth community?
Well, it's not a political message. It's stop lying to us, stop controlling us, stop, imprisoning us, and let us live. They're hiding free energy from us, right? There's no need to pay for electricity, or there's no need for mining what they call fossil fuels, another hoax. We have free energy. We have unlimited food. We have unlimited water. We have unlimited kindness, and they're just making us, think that there's a race war going on, that there's all of this separation. They're separating us because they know if we all get together, they are finished. But they separate us by countries, then they separate us by regions in those countries, and then they separate us by political parties and sexes and races and sports teams. And now they're separating us physically and hiding our faces, right? If I did my whole interview like this, you wouldn't be able to tell what the hell I was even saying, because the words really have no meaning. You read micro expressions on people's faces, right? So they're the masks are a satanic practice, and it's a way to separate you from God. This is my proof of God. My face, my smile, right, is proof of God, and they're taking that away because they hate God.
Can you develop a little bit on the religious parts of the flat Earth theory?
Well, I'm not religious at all. You know, the religions are also another way to divide people. You have all these different religions with all these different rules and all these different pedophilic priests and all this crap going on. The religion's inside of you. You have a spark of God in you, and I say that's your soul, right? Your soul is your connection to God. You have a couple rules, right? Don't kill anybody, don't steal from anybody, and don't break their free will and help your neighbor. That's it. That's it. Don't lose control of your soul. Don't give it away. Don't sell it, and live your life. That's it. That's God. That's, you know, you're here expanding the mind of God, period. You're having an adventure here in this video game, whatever you want to call it. It's a virtual world. We're having this experience here. And then when we die, we return back to the heavens above, maybe to the stars. Maybe the stars are where our souls are. Okay. I don't know, but that's it. I'm not religious. And,
Okay.
you know, there's a thing called, you want to just do those things that I said. Be a good person, period. That's it. That's my religion.
How do you feel society receives you as a flat earther?
6 years ago, they would want to put me in a mental institution because nobody would even look into it. But now it's getting out there so much that people like yourself are asking questions. Like you mentioned flat Earth to somebody, they go, you know what, I heard something about that. And they ask a question rather than go, you're crazy, and laugh and have, you know, just imagine all of this nonsense. You know, when you mention flat Earth to somebody, they think you're talking about, you know, a disc floating in space with helios, with other models. Like, hey, you mentioned flat Earth, they think of this, right? Because that's what they were programmed to think. But now people are like, well, wait, that's not what flat earthers believe. You know, flat earthers actually realize that the Earth is not a disc floating in space. It's not a ball either. That it's it's more like a pond, right? And the pond is surrounded by land. That's the container of the pond. Well, that's Antarctica. Antarctica is bigger than all of the continents and oceans combined. We live in the Antarctic basin. That makes a heck of a lot more sense than a spinning ball flying through a space vacuum with gas balls.
Right.
Go make a gas ball and put it in a vacuum, and let me know how you make out. All right.
I've got a question here, but it's pretty obvious. I was going to ask you if you feel like you're an active member of the community, but I've been researching you and I kind of know so. Yeah, I guess we're done. I just have a few more questions about you. You told me you live in Connecticut, right?
I do.
All right. How old are you?
I'm 57.
7. What do you do for a living?
This is what I do for a living.
All right.
I created the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app because of the censorship, right? The censorship, if you Google Flat Earth, you end up at By Man Dan, at Not Professor Dave. You end up at all of these paid for, organized hit pieces. You end up at the Flat Earth Society. We're not the Flat Earth Society. That's all government-run disinformation to control your mind. It's for the weak-minded people. If you searched, hey, A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 Questions, one of the best intro videos out there, it won't show up. You'll get all of their propaganda first. It won't show up, if it shows up at all, until like 20 pages later. So the Flat Earth Clock app brings you a new video every day, and I challenge people. I'm offering a Bitcoin. You know what a Bitcoin is, right? You're a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm offering a full Bitcoin for one proof of the globe, but you have to watch the video every day on the app, and for 2 weeks, and then if you think that there's a proof of the globe, you send it to me. So this is the app, real quick, and every day down in the bottom left-hand corner, you got your featured video. Today is Sunsets Prove Flat Earth, but if you think you have a proof of the globe, you have to hit the question mark, and up come all the questions that you could possibly ask. Hey, what about eclipses? You know, what about the Coriolis effect? You know, what about gravity? And like if you click what about gravity, up comes a playlist of videos that YouTube will not serve you because they don't want you seeing this stuff, right? This will explain what gravity is. And then you were asking about our history, bottom right-hand corner, mud floods Tataria. Hit that button. That stuff you won't find easily online, and you'll learn about our history. You'll learn about what was really here 100 years ago, 150 years ago. It's nothing like what they tell us. So that's how that works.
All right, interesting. I'll check it out too.
Okay.
So what studies did you do? Well, no, first, what were you doing before that, and what studies did you do?
So in college, I studied marketing and psychology. And I took 4 years of astronomy, and that was pseudoscience. Didn't know it then. I memorized all that garbage, believed it all, and it's all unprovable pseudoscience. And what I did before this, I have a commercial solar power finance development and construction company, and I walked away from it all. I was doing very, very well. And the company is still doing well. My partners are killing it out there. But I felt that what difference did it make if we become slaves in a caste system? So that's why I'm doing this, and the app is able to support me. The app's $2.99, one-time fee. And people are like, well, I'm not paying for an app. Just go read the reviews to see what people are saying about it. And next time you go buy a Snapple or a coffee at Starbucks, just remember you're going to piss that out in 30 minutes, and it's gone forever. The app you have for the rest of your life.
Okay. Well, just in a nutshell, how would you describe yourself, politically speaking?
I'm non-political.
Oh, all right, non-political. And okay, you already told me you're not
I'm with the
religious.
Truth Party.
Right, this one. Okay. Well, I guess I'm done.
All right,
That's
man.
a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but that's thanks a lot. Are you gonna put it somewhere?
I'll upload it to one of my channels, and you know, I'll send you the link
All
if you want, or you can, and then
Yeah.
send me a link if you put it up. I'll share yours.
All right. Well, I'll put it anywhere, but all right. Thanks a lot. Anyway, thanks for your time, and I hope we can stay in contact too.
All right, no problem. Just keep researching and get the app. It'll save you a ton of time. It'll answer all of your questions, and then you will see reality. And people, one last thing: why does it matter? What difference does it make? Well, if you don't know who you are, where you are, what you are, if you think you're a random accident on a random speck flying through an infinite vacuum, you give away all of your divine power. Period. What does it matter? It matters more than anything. I would say it almost matters more than your ability to breathe. That matters a lot. Probably exaggerating there a little bit, right? But it's a close second to breathing. That's why it matters. And the people that say, what does it matter? They're not thinking. Their pineal glands are calcified. Their brains are programmed. They are lost in space and fighting for their captors with what's that? Now I'm spacing on a name. When you fight for your captors, it's called, I forget. I even said it before, but that's all right. Stockholm syndrome. There you go. Stockholm syndrome.
Oh yeah, right. Okay. So, so you're saying the globe Earth is here to kind of distract you from the meaning that you have, that was like your divine meaning, right?
It's to make you think you're insignificant, and also to keep you in fear. The globe is fear. You're flying through space. An asteroid could take you out at any moment. We're going to run out of dinosaur juice, which is fake. A crazy terrorist, country, Kim Jong-un's going to blow us up with nuclear bombs. Fake, right? Nuclear bombs don't exist. All of this is fear, because when you're in fear, you give away your power. And then we look at the elite and the government, and we obey what they say. What a power do they have over us, other than the power you gave them by voting for them? Okay. They know nothing. It's all out. They're all out for themselves. It has nothing to do with us. They want us dead. I'll say it. They want us dead. And they wrote it in stone. Just look up the Georgia Guidestones. They want to get the Earth back down to 500 million people. Look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates' parents and him are known eugenicists. That means they want to cull the human population. His parents started Planned Parenthood. This is all about culling the population. He's a man that wants to reduce the population, but everyone's allowing him to be the one to say, you're going to get this experimental vaccine? That's insanity, total insanity, that people are letting a eugenicist try to save the human race. The man that invented the computer virus is going to save us from this non-existent virus. It's unreal how brainwashed people are. They're controlling our minds with cartoons, okay? Cartoons. This is a cartoon. This is a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
All right.
All right, man.
Well, yeah.
Anything else?
I guess I'm good. I'm good. That was very interesting anyway. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
And
so if somebody said, give me one globe proof before we end, what would your one globe proof be?
Mine.
Yeah. Like if someone said, hey, you think the Earth is a globe? You're unsure, but you think it's a globe. What would your one globe proof be? Give me your best proof of the globe.
I'm actually not scientifically minded at all. So
stop it. That's an appeal to science, appeal to authority. You have common sense. If you believe something, do you believe you're a man?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, you have common sense, right? You can check. You're a man. I can tell you're a man. What would be the number one reason for you that you think the Earth is a globe? I don't think you think the Earth is a globe, so you're not going to be able to answer it. But if you did think the Earth was a globe, what would be your best proof? What would be the one thing that makes you believe it?
Well, I guess if you start from the idea that scientists are not lying, or the
So
NASA is lying, I guess
trust in authority. Trust in
Yeah, right.
authority.
Yeah.
Right. But you've seen my videos. You've seen the NASA fakery. You've seen them faking space, right?
Right.
Right. So why would you trust liars? Why would you trust somebody that says this guy's floating when he's clearly hanging from a harness and wires? Why would you trust them? That's all
Well,
you need to not trust NASA, right?
right.
Why would you trust them?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, so let that soak in. We'll I guess we'll leave it at that, because there's no proof of the globe. There's none. When you really look, when you really try to prove the globe, and then you'll see there's none. All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks.